Find an association. It's going to help people associate you with something very, very specific. And when they need help, when that topic comes out, you're going to come to their minds.
Knowing that we've done this consistently for a long period of time and we built these relationships. And on their end, they can trust our system. They can trust us as people, as business people, if we end up working together.
What words or ideas do you associate with me, my brother, and our work?
Number one, content. Let's go, baby.
Oh, let's go. You're doing a better job than I am. Guess what? There's a lot of people publishing valuable content. Even besides that, how do you differentiate yourself?
Also, valuable means different things to different people too. And this is obviously going to depend on what is your thing, right? What is your niche? What is the thing that you want to do within that niche?
You need repetition. It's gonna seem a lot to yourself because guess what? You're the only one that listens to 100% of your message. And one more thing that I actually didn't really think too much about until
we've got some
Hey,
fresh new
I'm
young
Luis.
talent
And
doing some
I'm
things that I
Luis.
know you haven't
And you're
heard
listening to the
before.
Content is Profit podcast. Hey, how you doing, Fonzie? Welcome back to Content is Profit. Everybody listening, how's that? My favorite show says like good morning, good afternoon, good night, whatever you are.
what show is that?
El Profesor Briseño, bro, the Spanish one.
I don't know. I don't listen to that. But
They have like 2,000 episodes.
He's funny. He's smart. He's
They started in radio, and now they transitioned to podcasting. He's doing comedy shows all over the place.
I know. It's been a while since I heard him, but you know, there's so many shows I want to listen. Not that much time, but you know, this is one that you should have in your rotation and you should be listening to. And if you're listening to this, then we greatly appreciate it.
That's
but
right.
Today we have an episode Fast and Furious. Episode inspired by one of our network team members.
I know, but a little bit, hold on. Where have we been? Because I know like the publishing has been a little bit inconsistent. I'm going to raise my hand. That has been me. We've been in events. Fonzie was in Virginia last week. I was here in the studio. We went to Fun Hiking Live for a day, connected with every single person. So if you're listening and you were there and you missed me, I am so sorry, but I was there for a day. Just send me a DM and we can meet electronically. I'll buy you a coffee. What about that?
Cool update. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. Today we're going to be talking about the power of association. And when I said that, my brother was like, yeah. And I knew which association he was talking about. He was talking about associating yourself with other people. But this is not about association.
Well, not really.
No?
No. I'll tell you after you tell me.
I thought it was about that.
Don't assume things about me.
I know. Assumptions are uncommunicated commitments. I don't know.
I know.
That's actually expectations. And expectations are uncommunicated commitments.
I know.
Now, that being said, we're going to be talking about association, the secret to organic growth. Again, quick hat tip to what is his name? I forgot his name.
Wow. Jake Klaus.
Jake Klaus. Wow. I know it's Jay, but I didn't remember his last name.
No.
Hat tip to Jake Klaus for the inspiration for today's episode.
Yeah.
Right? He put this on his newsletter, Creator Science. So go check him out and read the essay. Is really, really good. But pretty much, you know, to give you a little bit about context, what he's talking about is, does people associate you or your brand with a word, right? Or with a niche. Great example that everybody knows about is Kleenex, right? When you say Kleenex, people know you're talking about tissues, right? When you say Dove, people know you're talking about soap, right?
So you say chiclets, you know your gum.
Are those even here? I have no idea if those. I've never seen those in here.
The chiclets? No, that's right.
Yeah, those are like in Venezuela.
Well, Canada, because Katie knows.
But Trident, you know, is gum.
Yeah, but when you say chicle in Spanish, that that's literally the translation to gum, but it's because of the brand.
I know, which is
crazy.
Which is pretty interesting. So, again, why does that happen? And I'm going to quote Jay's, text here from his essay, right? But he says, I'm actually looking at the wrong side. There we go. There's a concept in psychology called cued recall. It's our ability to retrieve information from our long-term memory using aids or cues. When people ask for recommendations, they use specific words, and those words serve as cues. People use their cued recall to think of recommendations associated with those cues. When your name or your work is associated with a specific word, that's what brings you to mind when the cue is presented. And then he says, my work was not associated with the word creator, so when that cue presented itself, I was not recalled. So after reading this, I got curious. what is the word that people associate me or my brother with? So I went on Facebook and I made a post. And the post said the following. What words or ideas do you associate with me, my brother, and our work? So I'm going to share the answers here in a little bit. I got barely any.
How many?
I got like 5. What about you?
I got 7. Let's go.
There you go. Good. So I didn't know you actually did this. What motivated you to share that post as well?
I mean,
did you read his newsletter? Did you
No.
saw my post? You wanted to be like me? Which one was it?
I definitely wanted to be like you. No, I saw your post as I was like waiting for Katie and the kids to go to the movie theater, and then I was like, oh, what? This is super interesting. And then I put it up on my profile to see if we could get. I wanted to see if the people that follow you, like on your Facebook, because this was published on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
Will have a similar thing on ours, on my side, and then I was gonna ask you literally today. I was like, what's about that? Like, what was the purpose of it? And I was just curious to see if we could get answers from both angles.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm curious to see your answers. But before that, I'm gonna share 3 steps on how you can create association, right? Like, and how you can create it on a purposeful way. I think it's a good exercise for everybody to reflect on, because I feel like we did it, especially back in the day when we were working with Steve Larson, right? When he was our mentor, and he was talking about the blue ocean and differentiating yourself, right? When we talked with Todd Brown on the podcast, like, what is your unique mechanism? I think that's part of it as well. Your unique mechanism can be your association, right? Like that differentiator. So how do you do it? First of all, is to select it. You need to select what is that thing you want to be associated with. Obviously, the broader it is, right? If we say content, guess what? We're going to be competing with people like Mr. Beast. It's going to be a battle that we're probably going to lose right now, right? Starting right now.
He doesn't know what's coming for him.
He doesn't know what's coming. But, if we also select something that is extremely, extremely niched, it might take a longer time for us to develop that association, just because there might not be that many people aware of it. So we want to find kind of like a intersection. And I think Jay's example is pretty cool. He's actually creator science, right? So he's like a scientific creator, and he actually does that. It's kind of like the breakdown of content. Is he the only one that does that? No, but I think he's the only one that takes that approach or that claim, that name, right? And I think it's very, very interesting. So number 1 is select. Number 2 is express it. And express it talks about how are you going to portray this association to the people that you're communicating with, to your audience. And you need to find a way to differentiate from others at the end of the day, right? Like, how are you expressing it? Not that it sounds just like anybody else. And let's be real, there's a lot of valuable content nowadays. People tell you got to publish valuable content, but guess what? There's a lot of people publishing valuable content. So even besides that, how do you differentiate yourself?
Also, valuable means different things to different people too, right? Like, so, for some people, valuable means that they get entertained, at the end of their day, for example, right? It might not be just sharing information, right? Maybe for them, value is just listening to something that's going to calm them down. Like, who knows, right? And this is obviously going to depend on what is your thing, right? What is your niche? What is the thing that you wanna do within that niche?
Yeah, absolutely. And then number 3 is repetition. And this happened to us actually when we did the 45 Live. It worked. And then we move on to the next thing, right? I think as humans, we're constantly seeking for novelty, seeking for new things. Like, what is the next shiny update? What are we going to put our focus on after this?
Yeah.
And, we've been listening a lot to Alex Hormozi, especially you, and he talks a lot about do the boring work, right? Like, do the work over and over and over, do what's working over and over and over. And it's the same with this. You need repetition. It's going to maybe look or seem a lot to yourself because guess what? You're the only one that listens to 100% of your message, but people want that repetition. They need that repetition so they can start associating that topic or that piece of content with you. Yeah. And one more thing that I actually didn't really think too much about until I read this, that repetition is actually comforting, right? People might seek for novelty, but people like familiarity, right? People like to be in their comfort zone. So if you are repeating yourself, repeating that message, repeating that association, people might start to find it familiar and comforting, and eventually they're going to be pairing you with that topic.
I think we didn't talk about, we're going to talk about this on the show today, but I experienced last Wednesday. I mentioned that I was down in Orlando for Fun Hacking Live. I didn't go for the whole conference, just showed up there on Wednesday. And I think I experienced this repetition and comforting on other people too, right? Because I got there at 9 a.m. By the way, I went to the wrong hotel. Fun story. It's a story for a different episode. But I came down and I started meeting the people from our accountability group, like in person. I started seeing old friends that we haven't seen each other for like a year. You know, Ben is an example. He says hi, right? All these amazing people that have listened to the show came up to us or came up to me and like say hi. And they were like, hey, we're so excited. You know, how's the show going? How's this thing? Like, it was already familiar to them. And I think this is the third year that I go down there that we have the show active, right? So the first year was like, oh, wow, we have a new show, right? The second year was like, oh, wow, the show's still going. And people were actually surprised that the show was still going, right? And doing as good as it was doing. And they were like, oh, good for you guys. But then this third time, they're like, it was assumed that the show was continuing and it was doing good, and we kept seeing the people that we connected through the show, and it created this like bond. It's hard to explain it, but with the people that have been on the show, it was like this bond. You know, for example, Michael Unbroken, right? He's like, dude, I'm going to Venezuela. I'm going to see all these people. Like, people, you know where we're from. What are we doing? They were excited about the studio, for example. So in that sense, it was very comforting on my end, right? Knowing that we've done this consistently for a long period of time and we built these relationships, which is really like our number one focus, right? And on their end, knowing that, you know, they can trust us because we've done this for a long period of time. They can trust our system. They can trust us as people, as business people, if we end up working together. And we ended up having two follow-up meetings with two incredible companies because of that same reason, right? The conversation was like, oh, you guys still doing that? Perfect. You guys are the ones I need, right? So it translates also into business.
Yeah. So let's go back to our Facebook post and share what are the things that people said. First, before you share, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Did you expect certain outcome when you published this?
No, I was just literally so curious. I was like, I wonder what people are thinking, right? Because sometimes our perception of what we're doing is not the people's perception on the outside.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I just wanted to see where that question landed without any context, right? I think I just copied your first comment, which was like citing the newsletter. And I just wanted to see also who responds to this, because we know silent watchers, that you're out there and you guys always see the content but don't comment and don't do anything. Our first client was actually a silent watcher.
Yeah, that is true.
So I encourage everybody, every time you see something like that, put something in there. But anyways.
Yeah, absolutely. So I did have
an expectation.
And not an expectation, but I was like, you know, personally, I feel like, especially in the last couple of months with the studio and, you know, content momentum, we've been busy, and probably we haven't, besides podcast content, we haven't really created that much, you know, besides multi-purpose content from our podcast. So I was like, I wonder, I don't think people are going to say what I want to hear, you know, which was the case with Jay. And for total clarity, actually in his newsletter, he shared this on Twitter. And he said that when he shared it, he was disappointed of the answers that people gave because none of them was the answer that he was looking for. So I was like, oh my gosh, I think my story is going to be somewhat similar. If I'm being honest, I think it is somewhat similar. I'm actually happy with some of the answers. I'm proud. Like,
I haven't seen mine.
I'm like, it's so cool that people relate, you know, associate these words with us. I think it's pretty cool. I'm pretty grateful. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't know if these are the words that I want, like, for business wise.
I also think maybe the channel, we might try this with different channels. Like, for example, the email, like emailing our guests, for example.
Yeah.
Or emailing like our entire email list and see what comes back. I think that would be interesting, right? We just did it on a platform on Facebook alone. And I think, in stories, for example.
Yeah, I mean, the data point is not huge, you know, that we're getting right now.
This is like small taste.
It's a small taste, but, you know, it's a taste nonetheless. So
bitter. Right, is bitter.
I'm bitter. But let's dive into this. Once again, thank you to Jake Klaus for, you know, kind of like sharing with this. I'm a believer of, you know, giving credit where credit is due. I think it's a cool topic of conversation.
Every time you quote somebody, you say that.
I know, because, you
default.
know, I say it because I've had people in the past saying like, well, you know, but now you are the expert. I'm like, yeah, but at the same time, I did learn this from somebody else, you know, and Jerry, or awesome, mentor as well, he used to say, nobody's self-made at the end of the day. People can say they're self-made, but they had to learn things from somebody else, even if it was a mistake or whatever. So let's dive into the results.
Every time you say that, I just imagine like those Zoom books. You're like, I give credit where credit's due, so you give it to Jay, and then I just imagine like 5 other people.
I know Jay giving credit to somebody else,
Ryan,
right?
and then it's like 7 other names behind Jay.
Probably, but it's probably that way, right? There's no original ideas. I remember who shared that. It's like there's no original ideas.
Read your comments.
Cool, my comments. So here it goes. Again, to remind you of the post, what words or ideas do you associate with me, my brother, or work? Here are the answers. Crazy, fun, cool, driven, impactful,
Crazy,
consistency, dedication, passion, cool intros, golden boulders.
Let's go.
Integrity, humor, creativity, grace, and ambition. I know, like they're so positive.
There are a lot on your personality.
I think there's a lot
Very personality driven on those.
On the personality. I think a lot of this as well, some of these are based on a limited amount of interactions. The one person in here that I know consumes most of our content, he's the one that said cool intros and golden boulders, which I'm like, okay, like I understand that. So, a lot to think about in there. But again, I'm happy for what the words were shared. I'm grateful for some of these. I think they're really cool. But business and brand wise, I'm like, we still need to do some. We need to do some work.
There's some work.
Yeah, we need to do some work.
All right, here we go.
What are yours?
Number 1, content. Let's go, baby.
Oh, let's go. You're doing a better job than I am.
Number 2, soccer. Which it's a person that knows me since I'm like in 2nd grade.
Yeah,
clearly. I mean, that's my past life. Some of my current life now. Really freaking kind. Let's go. Podcast. Let's go. Notion. Let's go. Let's go. Notion. You gotta pay me for this. Again, soccer. Scrappy. I think soccer is because I share a lot of soccer in my personal content and stuff. Scrappy. Determined. I like that one. Another one. Phenomenal. Team players. Inspiring. Hardworking. Smart. Witty. Talented. Gems. Gifts from God. Oh my gosh. Loving, welcoming, and many more.
Was that mom?
Thank you. No, it's definitely not mom, but it's somebody that we've interacted in the studio for quite a bit.
Yeah.
So shout out to you, Jen. Thank you so much. And then positive energy. Awesome. I mean, I do have a tattoo in my back that says Semper Felix, which means always positive. It's a reminder for myself. Top notch, excellence, and also Luis is better. Clearly me. So that's exactly what they said.
All right, cool. I'm diving here. I'm like trying to look at that. I think that's a lie.
But no, I mean, look at it. It's right there. Luis is better. There you go. But anyways, I think this is a
good thing. My name is Luis too.
I think this is a really cool exercise. I mean, I think if we email this to our email list, I'm very curious to see especially the podcast guests, right? Because those are probably the relationships that we invested the most.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how many people answer compared to how many people will unsubscribe from how long we haven't emailed them.
That too. So if you're in our email list, just answer the email.
Just answer the email. Do not unsubscribe. We're working one platform, one vehicle at a time based on our capacity. That being said, we have to head out. But conclusion, right? Let's summarize this for you. Find an association. It's gonna help you come, on top of the rest, and it's gonna help people, again, associate you with something very, very specific. And when they need help, when that topic comes out, you're gonna come to their mind. So how do we do this? How do we build an organic audience? Through association. First, we select the right words or ideas that you want associated with you. Second, you express your perspective in a differentiated way. That is key, differentiated way. And third, you repeat. It builds familiarity and it builds association.
That's a good topic, Fonzie. Well done.
It was fun.
Was that on your drive back?
My drive back?
On your drive back to Jackson, was that what you were doing?
Actually, yeah, I read it through in my drive back. And, I use my cool new software for the cool tools that we will be reviewing soon. It's called Lazy. It needs a shout out. It's such a cool software.
Yeah, that is actually
so
awesome.
I use it to curate and summarize some of my learning points.
I told them I need the iPad version where I can actually handwrite the notes, and they're like, we're working on it.
Yeah, I think that's gonna take a little bit more.
It's all good.
I know. We're pioneers. We're early adopters on this one.
I know. I told them, can we invest?
Can you give us?
No.
Can you give us an affiliate link? That's all we need to get. An affiliate link for that.
That's right. All right, guys. With that said, thank you so much for tuning to the Contents Profit Podcast. Go ahead and follow the show in your favorite podcasting platform and on social media at Beast Bros Co.
That is right. And if today's episode helped you get one step closer to that word that you want to be associated with, please don't forget to share this episode and leave a 5-star review. And before I forget, P.S. do the exercise yourself. Put that post on Facebook and tag us. We want to see. And if we have an associated word with you, we'll share it in the comments.
Yeah, absolutely. Bye, guys.
See ya.